Okay. Hi, everyone. And we're finally back. And Brittany's here, and Sarah's here, and Daisy's here. And look at the four-way interview. Like I say, every time we have a four-way interview, we have to figure out who's which Sex and the City girl by the end of this. But
yes, it's very important.
That is a Charlotte thing for me to say. I just want to get that out there. Anyway, so we've got our interview coming up. Daisy, do you want to start off the interview the way we always do?
Yes, I do. This is so funny. I said what a witch, and I played your TikTok in the background. Sorry,
thank you.
Chaos over here. If people want
you actually did find my TikTok. Oh God.
I did. People, this show, you see Dom, you see me, you see us. We talk. We have guests on. We interview the guests.
Sometimes.
Sometimes we do that. It's kind of fun. But what you don't see are the rest of the members of the Folkwise team, who come together every week to research and curate questions designed specifically for the guests that we have on the show. We call them very affectionately the interview sleuthing team. And the sleuths are beautiful and wonderful and intrepid and amazing and fabulous and intelligent and all of these wonderful honorifics.
For Brittany and Sarah, intrepid and beautiful every week, and then they add new adjectives. Okay.
I add new adjectives because there's
minimum intrepid and beautiful.
Minimum. That is the low bar, okay? we can always go more. But they are wonderful because they help us. Yeah, they help us curate the questions every week, and without them, Dom and I would not be able to do the show because they're so smart and helpful and make us not sound like, full dream brain on blast. They make us actually ask good questions for the guests. So
we could do the show, but we would not have the resources to have guests on every week.
Yeah, we would not. So they are a wonderful team that adds a ton to the experience of the show. If you like a question that you hear, don't thank me and Dom, thank the sleuths.
That works for me, Daisy. All right.
Thank you, sleuth.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't even heard a question yet. Calm down. Should we get started with the first question then?
I will not.
Okay, good. Well, I'm Italian. I relate to that. Okay. First question is for both of you. And I guess it's the kind of elephant in the room off top. What is a Carterhaugh, and what's the school?
What is it? Is the question literally what is a Carterhaugh?
Who or what? I'm not sure, honestly. Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know. Okay. I know you brought a lot of people into chat this week, but I don't know if our half of chat knows.
Okay. Well, Carterhaugh, there are at least two different ways we could answer that. But one is that Carterhaugh is our school, our mostly online folklore school, where we teach all kinds of classes and workshops and give lectures and have a book club and hang out with really, really awesome people, many of whom are here. Hi, guys.
Yeah, Carterhaugh was built basically for people who really like folklore stuff and never got a chance to study it formally in any way. Or maybe just a little bit and really want to come back to it. And so we try to find the people who just love all this stuff and just never, realized how deep they could go into it.
Yeah, also there are just so few folklore programs, right? There's a handful of them in the country, and you might not have gone to one of them, or you might have and not known about it, or you might have and really miss it. There are just a million reasons why you might not be studying folklore formally, but still love it and want to hang out with other nerds who super love it.
Yeah.
Other nerds who love it. With Paul, so we started out with very much academic classes, and now we've sort of branched out a little bit more. We do a lot of work with sort of combining fairy tales and legends and stuff with personal narratives, and working to see, how people can use these stories to understand their lives a little bit better, to make their lives feel a little more, sort of in touch with the enchantment of everyday life, basically.
Yeah. So the course that we are just now wrapping up, the final wrap-up session of it is tomorrow night, was called Rapunzel's Circle, Unruly Bodies. And it was all about how fairy tales and other kind of fantastic narratives, what kind of bodies move through them, how we learn to think about bodies through stories, especially kind of fantastical stories, especially like thinking about body lore and disability studies and folklore and combining all of that and like finding new ways to kind of make peace with or understand or thrive in our own very unruly bodies. And it was really cool. I got to use like lots of bits and pieces of my dissertation, which was all about folk narrative and disability studies. And, you know, it was like a dream class for me. It was really, really fun.
We joke that we're like two of the only people we know that actually got to turn our dissertations into courses in a way. Sarah with Unruly Bodies, and then last year we had one called The Gothic Fairy Tale, which was based around my dissertation around the so-called dark side of fairy tales.
We have
and then the other answer.
Yes, I was going to say, we have so many follow-ups because you've just mentioned both of your dissertations, but there's another answer that I need answered.
Yes. Real quick, the other answer about Carterhaugh, because we know it's a really weird word. So Carterhaugh is actually from a ballad called Tam Lin. It is the story. Yeah. So
we're like nerds all the way down.
I know, nerds all the way down. So basically, it's the story of a girl who goes out into this forbidden area of the woods called Carterhaugh, where she meets a guy named Tam Lin who has been kidnapped by the fairies. She winds up getting pregnant. She goes back out in the woods and is like, dude, you have to come be a father to this kid. And he's like, well, you know, the fairies are going to sacrifice me to hell, so that's not going to happen unless you rescue me. And so she's like, well,
I would, but I'm super cursed.
But I'm super cursed. So she's like, all right, well, then I'll just rescue you. So he tells her how to do it. She goes to a crossroads at midnight on Halloween. The fairies ride by on all their horses, and she picks out the one that's him. He falls to the ground, and the fairies shapeshift him into all these kinds of terrible, different beastly things. And eventually, he changes back into himself. She's held on the whole time. She wins him back. The fairy queen is very ticked off about this because now I have to sacrifice somebody else to help. So
Carterhaugh is like the place where a lot of the action happens in this very fairy tale-y ballad. And it's also land that in a lot of versions of the ballad she actually owns, like it belongs to her. And Tam Lin is like, what are you doing here initially? And she's like, it's mine. Like, who are you to be here? So we really, really liked that claim of like ownership of like your own piece of land, your own piece of fantastical land. And that's where the name of the school came from.
Yep.
Daisy,
so 2 ways to answer what is Carterhaugh.
Daisy, isn't that like Matilda's partner Tam, like why he goes by Tam? You pretty sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
we know a folklorist named Tam. Great.
Yeah.
Hey, chat, thank you so much for the hype train. There's no
the
Tam Lin command, Death Lords.
There
Chat,
cannot be
chill.
Tam Lin command.
How? Hey,
I
did we hit the hype train? Somebody said there's some bits we hit the hype train. What we did hit is the sub goal. So, Shirley, you're on watch.
My God, Shirley.
We hit the sub goal. You have to host one of these nights in your Ren Fair garb. All right. And I'm assuming in character. So thank you, everybody in chat. Thank you for sending bits and subs over when the guests ask a question or answer a question well.
Yes.
Plenty more of that where that came from. And I think Daisy should ask the next question.
Yeah. And so this question is like more specifically for Sara, and you kind of alluded to this already. But I am interested in an expanded look, or maybe like a deeper look at how body lore specifically is important for investigating fairy tales.
Hey, there are like so many different ways I could answer that.
Go
like,
off.
To, like,
Chat's ready. Chat is ready.
I would say like answer it as the thoughts come to you. I know there's like you taught a whole class on this, so like I'm sure there's lots of different directions you can go. But like, why would body lore be useful for thinking about fairy tales?
Okay, so a starting place might be that fairy tales, at least a lot of older, what we think of as like traditional fairy tales, tend to be quite short, like maybe just a couple pages long, sometimes like a couple paragraphs long.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a lot of space for interiority. We don't get a lot of like internal monologues, a lot of what's going on like within the character. We get a lot of physical descriptions, like short physical descriptions of the actual like bodies that are moving through these fairy tales. So purely in terms of like numbers of words on the page. A huge amount of space is actually devoted to describing what bodies are like in fairy tales. And I think Gina Jorgensen has done some really cool work on this in her dissertation, like literally like counting like which words about beauty and ugliness or whatever. But even beyond that, like a lot of it is descriptions of clothing, which we can tie immediately into body lore, right? In terms of like how you choose to present yourself, how you create identity through your clothes, or how you carry yourself, how you signal your alignment to different kinds of groups, different kinds of identities, of folk groups within a fairy tale. So that is one place that you could start. I also want to like run off in another direction, talking specifically about like disability in fairy tales. If you look at even fairy tales like the Grimms, just a massive number of the Grimms fairy tales overall involve some kind of disabled body. So just in terms of like sheer volume of what is within the fairy tales that we like, a lot of the most famous fairy tales, but also a lot that we don't even know, it's everywhere. And we just don't pay a lot of attention to it. Like we spend tons of time talking about gender in fairy tales, which like, don't get me wrong, I love, like I can talk all day long about gender in fairy tales, but we don't talk a lot about bodies specifically. We don't talk a lot about disability, but it's right there. Like there's so much to do with it. And there are all these entrenched patterns that come up again and again and again. And until we start noticing that and noticing these patterns and paying attention to them, we don't realize the ways that these fairy tales teach us to think about bodies, about disabilities in all kinds of different ways. And just by knowing that, that informs so much of how we think about our own bodies and how we tell stories now and what we can do with retellings. And like, there's just so much power in that. So clearly I am like wildly passionate about this, but I just think it's such a cool topic. And that's a place that you could start. I could have answered that in like 80 different ways.
No, I think that's awesome. I also feel like, I don't know, disability and folklore is the perfect way to talk about the body.
It is.
Just the body in everyday life.
A lot of work there. Yeah, I mean, like there's more being produced now, which is super, super cool, but there just is not a huge body of information there yet. And I'm excited to see what else is, what else we're going to do, in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, tomorrow.
And thinking of disability or like framing like folklore and body lore as like the experience of the body in everyday life is always in comparison to the like institutional standard of the body or the head body or whatever. I find that like so fascinating. They just seem so complementary because I don't know of how they. I just want to talk to you more about this, but we have other questions to get to. So
I will nerd out with you about this literally anytime.
Hell yeah! Awesome. Saturday stream, do it.
Oh my
Daisy
God.
plays Minecraft. Sarah talks about fairy tales and disability. I see it already.
I'll do it. I'll totally do it.
Hell yeah! Okay. You're on the calendar.
Sending more emails.
More emails.
Right. I would love to.
I've got the next question, and it's for Brittany. Brittany, oftentimes I am called a goth because I have black hair and wear eyeliner. But when academics talk about it, what is the gothic aesthetic and how does it relate to feminist and queer scholarship and fairy tales?
Oh, what a wonderful question. This makes me so happy.
Thank you, Sleuths.
Thanks, Sleuths.
All right, so basically, so first of all, the Gothic itself is essentially a mode or an aesthetic that is referred to in by various kinds of texts, like literature and art and all kinds of stuff. And it's it's one of those things that's really hard to define, but essentially it when you see it. It's the gloomy sort of. I hesitate to use the word dark. The word dark is not my favorite, but it's that haunted kind of aesthetic, that feeling of dark castles and lonely churchyards and enclosed spaces and fear and ghosts and vampires and all manner of such things.
Dread glamour.
Dread glamour.
Dread glamour.
Most people recognize it when they see it. They're like, oh yeah, that's totally goth or whatever. And now there's been a variety of ways that it's gone through culture, and now you have like the subculture of goth, which is all the people dressed in black and everything. it started out as this aesthetic. And one of the things that people suggest that really is a way of sort of defining what the Gothic looks at, and it's this line from this scholar named Fred Botting, who says that it basically says that the Gothic is when the past comes back to haunt the present. And so what I really, really liked about that, and what made me really fascinated by that, is that I was like, well, isn't most of the time in these stories, the past that they're talking about is like the superstitious past, the folk past coming back to haunt the present. And so what does that mean? And so that was sort of my starting point for my dissertation, which was all about fairy tales and fairy legends, actually, and how they appeared in the 19th century, how they popped up in various Gothic texts and Gothic, art that was going on at the time. And it's
real good, y'all. Like, it's really good.
it's so interesting to me, because I see in the chat somebody's like, is all folklore Gothic then? And I would kind of argue that there's a certain way of thinking about it that you could make that argument, but most
the most Brittany thing you've ever said. It could be. I could make it so.
Well, because obviously there are, honestly, I'm trying to think of an example of something folklore that's not Gothic, and I feel like everything I'm coming up with,
memes.
I could make it
memes.
I could be like, okay, so like memes and stuff like that wouldn't be Gothic exactly, but but in the sense that it is all of this stuff sort of from the past coming back, these things that people thought that they had left behind with modernity, with industrialization, all of that kinds of stuff. When you see that creep back into life, it's usually via these old folk superstitions, old folk stories.
Yeah.
And using that leads these tales, these more modern stories, this air of some kind of mystical past that is coming back and we can't ever completely let go of. And that
it's threatening too, right? Like, it's a threatening past. Yeah.
Yeah, that is scary. Oh, also in the chat, so somebody says, what's the difference between a fairy tale and a fairy legend? Well, in my dissertation, I talked about both. So a fairy tale is a specific kind of folk narrative that is definitely fictional. It's a kind of folk tale. It's like a subgenre of the folk tale. So it's very much fictional. It takes place in once upon a time land. The characters are very flat, not very defined, as Sarah was saying earlier. It often involve things like quests and, rescuing princesses and things like that. But a fairy legend is a little bit different, because legends are stories that are not, they negotiate the status between whether or not they're true. So it's all about the belief in the story is what you're thinking about constantly when you're talking about a legend. So a legend about fairies, as opposed to a fairy tale, would involve the creatures known as fairies, and would invite a sort of discussion or thought process about whether or not fairies were ever real, and if these stories could possibly have been true in some way. And there's no real way to prove it one way or the other, but because they sort of exist in between, it is very fun to speculate with them. So basically fairy tales like Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Cinderella, etc., and then fairy legends like stories about the fairies in Ireland that you may have come across.
Very concise.
Yeah, like a story about like a banshee or something.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, that was a really helpful explanation.
It really was. Yeah.
I did not know the difference. So that
I did, and you basically said everything in my head, and I was very impressed.
Thank you.
I was like, oh, damn, she's getting all of it.
Thanks for an awesome answer. And I have a question for both of you. So you've been working together now for more than a decade, which is pretty cool. Dom, can't wait till we get there. Hello.
Oh my God.
We're approaching.
When did we meet? 2016?
I think so. Yeah.
We've been working together for 2 years, but
least.
we've been goofing off for half a decade. Sometimes what we do on the show, it's debatable, but
It's debatable. But inside the folklore field, you're affectionately referred to as the fairy tale twins. What are some words of wisdom that you have for the audience and for people who are listening for the kind of collaborative work that you do, like co-writing, the school, etc.?
Oh, that's such a good question. No one's ever asked us that before.
the sleuths have.
That's really good. Well, I'm going to give you like the most Virgo answer ever that will take 2 seconds.
Oh
And
my
then Brittany
God.
will say something
Let's fucking go.
Brittany will
Alright,
say something beautiful and profound, and I'm going to say Google Docs. Google Docs.
Amazing.
And now I'm going to kick it back over to Brittany.
All right. And Brittany, what's your sign?
A spreadsheet. All Virgos love a spreadsheet.
Yep. My sign is Scorpio. I am not a fan of the spreadsheet.
Me too. We're dream brain. Let's go.
Okay, so yeah, this is a really neat question, and I really like it. So there are a couple of things I want to say about this. First of all, it's super weird that we collaborate as much as we do on stuff, and the variety of stuff we do collaborate on. Particularly since we came out of academia, because it's really just not encouraged at all.
We were straight up told not to. We were told that we were shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, we were told that it was just a terrible idea to do any kind of work together, because then you won't have individual credit for it.
Yeah.
Whoever told you that is the big dingus.
Yeah, well,
So glad it's changing.
And the other thing that people sort of automatically assumed is that our advisor at OSU was Ray Cashman before he went to Indiana. And he told Sara and I straight up that when we had both applied to OSU, because we look at both, fairy tales are sort of literary and folklore, so we wanted a program that was in an English department and in a comparative studies department. So he said when we both applied there was like an intense discussion amongst the faculty about whether or not we would be like really good friends or if we would kill each other. And we honestly, Ray said, I don't think this is exactly true, but Ray said that one of the reasons we got in was because people were curious about what would happen.
Oh my God. Is he allowed to say that? This is the quiet
Yeah,
part loud, really?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We super loved Ray. He was great. I loved that he told us stuff like that.
I loved that he told us stuff like that. And like,
I'm glad he told you, but also,
oh my God, yeah, I know.
People,
Well, grad school, academic jobs, it's all a complete, like, who knows what goes into what happens to. But I love this because he was like, obviously the second one came, or not the second one, the first one.
Did it?
No, the
Are we
first one.
dead? Have we killed each other?
Instead, we started working together, and we started to really think about how we could continue to work together, even though, like, we were constantly being faced with this, either, you should be enemies because you're so similar and you're going to be going for the same academic jobs. You should be, writing stuff on your own because that's what proves that you're a true academic that can think, brand new things by yourself. And all of this other stuff that just turned out to be really unproductive for us.
Mm-hmm.
We had so much fun working together. We started out like writing poems together, and that led to writing articles together, and eventually led to Carterhaugh, which is crazy, but it was born out of this intense desire to work collaboratively with people, to embrace the fact that sometimes what you can create with others is bigger than what you can create by yourself. And also just way more fun. When we were both working on our dissertations, we obviously worked on them, in the same vicinity, but we were both working on our separate things. And that was, we often said, gosh, I wish we could just write this together. We would just
It would be
combine
done so much faster if we could just write
so
them
much
together.
faster.
That's incredible.
I don't know if how well acquainted you are with the recent developments at OSU, at least in the comparative studies department, but the last year or my year that I entered the program, there was an entire grad program reconfiguration centered on interdisciplinary scholarship and collaboration. I take classes in collaboration now, in theorizing what it means to do collaborative work.
Awesome.
And
I'm so happy to hear that.
Daisy takes classes in support bonuses and pair up attacks. Oh my god.
Which was not available when we were there.
Well, but I want to thank you specifically because I can only imagine the affect of the kind of work that you were doing, in these little ways, was influencing the department and the various kind of energy in the humanities departments there too. So I imagine that had some, if not mild, important impact in the way that people thought about collaborative work there, which allowed for me to take advantage of this in a really cool way. So. Well, I don't know if you know it, but I see the energy there. Yeah.
I love that. I hope it's true.
Yeah.
If
we did anything to, even move the needle the tiniest bit to make that happen, that would make me very happy.
It must have.
It had to have, yeah.
It had to, because if they saw other people doing it, they're like, oh, they're doing it and they don't hate each other. Maybe we all can be collaborative. And I think it's cool. It's like a philosophical move in the department.
I feel like academia is always placing people in competition with each other.
Yeah. As the Hoosier of the group call can confirm.
Yes.
Yeah, very competitive.
Yeah.
He says wincing.
One of the things that Brittany said that I wanted to, echo and draw attention to is also we had so much fun when we worked together. We would think of all sorts of things that we wouldn't have thought of individually. We would spark ideas off of each other, and something that was maybe a little flicker, one of us might have had a thought, and if we hadn't said it out loud to the other, it would have gone away. But because you have someone else to bounce ideas off of and share plans and share excitement, stuff that I can't believe that Carterhaugh is real. It's been around at this point for several years, and I can't even believe it's real, and it never would have happened me by myself. There is no way in all hell that I A, would have believed in it enough to do it myself, or B, I would have had the spoons and the energy
all the
to
different
do it.
things.
Nope. But chasing that fun, that spark and that energy and that excitement, I feel like that's kind of squashed out of us in academia sometimes. The idea is if it's fun, then it's frivolous, right? If it's and that's I want to. That makes me want to scream. It's not true. If we're in academia, we should love what we're doing, or why else are we putting up with this? So, if something really brings you joy, and then pursue it, right?
Yeah.
So it related to that, Sarah, if I may, Daisy. I recently got interviewed for Traditions, the IU Folklore alum newsletter, and I was talking about they're where did Folkwise start, and I was talking about how I had the idea for or at least the Twitch stream all the way back in 2016 or 17. I was I should do what I do for Bloomington Smash Bros, where I interview pro players when they come to tournaments, but with folklorists. At the same time, never had the ability to do this without my co-host. Daisy was the X factor that finally got this thing launched. The fact that they're the same, they have the same kind of brainworms as me, and they are there every Tuesday with me. You know what I mean? So I relate to that so hard.
Yeah.
And I love that this thing grew out of a collaboration like that too. I mean, that makes me so happy to see folklorists finding each other and making stuff. We can make more when we hang out together,
Yeah.
And I mean, good.
I also feel like with the collaboration, I feel like these projects are often like outward facing.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
to people outside of academia, to people that are interested in folklore, but don't do it. Like don't know, like that we can teach so much more if we decide to look outward instead of just keeping it all like within the ivory tower, as they say.
Shouts to Tommy who bought a sub earlier, who was just like he's a stay-at-home dad in Chicago. Word to him. He's not a folklorist.
Yeah, I was gonna
one
say,
day.
Maybe one day.
I was gonna say, I mean, like, Dom and I have a collaboration, but so much of the ideas and like the work behind the scenes come from a group chat that we started with a bunch of like friends that we hang out with who also
that group chat was supposed to be an edited volume about Guy Fieri. Still waiting on that, everyone.
We're still waiting on an edited volume about the Flavor Town
and it became a Taylor Swift video essay, and now it's a Twitch stream and book club and whatever.
And so this is just like so there's that piece of collaboration, and then there's also the chat who really influences like so much of not just the content that we create, but like but the like games that we come up with, the art we share, like I don't know. Then there's the people who are passively watching us on our other social media sites and like just liking our stuff and just learning like informally in a wonderful way about informal culture. But yeah, I can't. Thank you for answering that question, because I feel like we don't.
I'm inspired all over again. Holy shit!
I know, I feel that way too.
And chat and people in chat, like Toby or 5 is talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to do something collaborative like this in Carterhaugh for gender studies?
Yes, it would.
Do it.
People,
do
it. It would be really cool. And like I've seen some, like I just don't like how. I don't know. One of the most rebellious things that you can do, I think, against like higher ed as a person who is part of higher ed, and a lot of people are part of a higher ed for lots of different reasons. I think one of the things you can do to work against some of the harmful systems in place in higher ed is collaboration, and just kind of saying like, I'm just going to radically work with another person, and you can actually do more.
Totally.
When you work together than you can on your own. Like, people are like, you gotta get published, whatever. Okay, well, fuck you.
Look at the 4 of us. The Do More Brigade.
Yeah, like all of 5 different publications, and they're all with my best friends, and I learned a lot from it, and I take all that experience and put it in my life or whatever, like those are the things that
Hell yes.
I don't know. Yeah. Do it. If you want to collaborate with someone, do it. It makes everything easier and fun and smarter. Like, you just do it better.
Yeah,
you do it.
Really
all of that. Like, it is so counterproductive and so bizarre that there's like the idea that you're just going to take a hit over collaborating. Like, it is academia shooting itself in the foot.
And really, like, the humanities. Science doesn't have a problem with this.
Science has
like,
no
what is
problem.
It's like very capital R romantic in a bad way. Like the idea that we all have to be like solitary geniuses, like on a hill, like alone, being inspired by like, I don't know, a tree or whatever. It's very silly. There are many different ways to be inspired, and getting your inspiration in part from other people or working with another person doesn't make you any less smart. And I feel like that's like the root of it, the idea that like, oh, it's mine. Like, I have to be the smartest. I have to be the best. And like, what is this? Like, come on.
Yeah. And we are lucky that that folklore is a discipline that is more receptive to that than even other humanities disciplines. Yeah. Like, I don't know what religious studies is doing in terms of collaboration lately, but like
I bet they're very monastic, Daisy.
I wouldn't
bet they're cloistered. Puns for you, chat. You're not getting these often.
I know of people who are like pushing for more collaboration in other fields, but folklore is not only like receptive to collaboration more than other fields. It's like it's so ingrained in the shit we do as just like relating. When you study a field that's about relating to other people.
Yeah, it's about standing with everyday people. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you can like not be part of that, but.
Artistic communication in small groups, like it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, exactly.
This unlocked for me when I was in grad school, and one of my chair members or committee members, Brandon Barker, was like publishing with cognitive science professors, and he was like, yeah, it's crazy. the cognitive science people have no problem co-authoring. That's on us, to use my Brandon impression.
Yeah. That's
Also, we love him. He does the coolest work.
I'm trying to see him this summer, but we're also trying to get him on the show at some point.
Yeah.
Do it.
Brandon,
awesome.
if you watch this,
Brandon, I'm calling you this week, Brandon. But regardless, hey, before we go on to the fun questions, I just want to say this is for those playing along at home. This is the second time Ray Cashman has been brought up on stream, so maybe we need to work on that one too. Last time Ray Cashman was brought up on stream was Ian Brody's episode when we played Jackbox, and the prompt was, in high school they called me Ray Cashman because, and I said I was Catholic and obscure. That being said, I never had a class with Ray Cashman, but I did accidentally sit next to him at a John Mulaney show in Indianapolis, and he laughed real hard at all the Catholic jokes. And Daisy, people are spamming bees in chat for you because of your great number 2 clip of the year with Ian Brody.
At least they stopped spamming enlightenment.
Oh no, keep spamming enlightenment, people. While you're spamming enlightenment, chat. I'm going to break down to the fun questions, and this already came up before Brittany and Sarah were on the show, so I'm very excited to ask it. Do you remember what you said, Daisy, was the synthesis of Dom and Daisy?
What I said?
Yeah. No, because we found something in like the swamp in The Witcher, and you said that's kind of like the synthesis of Dom and Daisy. Do you remember this?
I said this? The castle?
Yeah, the castle. Yeah, you were describing a castle, and you said that's kind of the perfect synthesis of Dom and Daisy. And I said, people who are here from Carterhaugh School, what's the synthesis of Sara and Brittany? Is it like Sleeping Beauty and the Beast? And someone said, yeah, it's Sleeping Beauty and the Beast. So, that being said, the question is, Brittany, what's your favorite adaptation of Sleeping Beauty? Sara, what's your favorite adaptation of Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, well, okay. So I'm going to plug something we actually just read in our book club.
Hell yeah.
It's next to me.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh!
This is an adaptation of Sleeping Beauty called A Spindle Splintered. It is basically like Sleeping Beauty Spider-Verse-ized. So all the different versions of ATU 410 are like come together.
Pop the fuck off. That's awesome.
Basically have like an adventure together. We've got, Sleeping Beauties from French medieval manuscripts. We've got Giambattista Basile. We've got the Grimm's version of Sleeping Beauty. And they're all like, in this sort of tradition of sleeping maiden stories. And it all comes together amazingly. It's a beautifully written book that is just superbly crafted, and I highly recommend folklorists read it because the person who wrote it really, really did her research and did a great job.
Also, she tweeted back at Brittany today.
Hell yeah! Oh, let's fucking go!
I love that.
Sarah, you're not off the hook.
Okay, I have to hold this up too because if you're a fairy tale nerd, you probably know about Arthur Rackham. He did all kinds of awesome fairy tale illustrations, and less famous than his illustrations are his silhouettes that he did for all kinds of fairy tales. And one thing that I love about A Spindle Splintered is that it uses Arthur Rackham's silhouettes, but has creatively fragmented and rearranged them to go along with like the fractured fairy tale kind of vibe of this. So like I was reading through the book and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of like Arthur Rackham, but I feel like his always had heads. So like literally the silhouettes have been like cut up and like restructured throughout the book, which I think is so fun. Okay, I guess I have to answer the question now. Which
you gotta answer the question. And also, one of your chatters asked a follow up, and I'm very proud of you, chatter.
It's a great follow up.
Is it about Brittany's kid or
no? It's about. It'll be.
You gotta answer yours first, Sarah. You gotta answer yours first.
Sure. Okay, so there are like, oh god, I want to list like a billion, but if I have to pick one, I will go with Juliette Marillier's gothic novel Heart's Blood. I think it's a really, really cool, it's like a gothic Irish retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It has some really interesting disability stuff in it. I think it does interesting stuff with like gender and masculinity along with disability. And it's just like a really beautiful, really sweet love story too. Like the part of the reason I like Beauty and the Beast so much is because it's one of the few fairy tales that actually really like spends time on like a romantic relationship and what it looks like. In so many other fairy tales, it's kind of like slapped onto the end, and we always think, oh, fairy tale romance, fairy tale wedding, but like that's not actually in most fairy tales at all. The ones where it actually shows up are like Beauty and the Beast and Bluebeard, and like that tells its own stories. That those are the two about like monstrous husbands. In one of the story tale types, usually the husband ends up being good, the other one's bad, but they're weirdly similar anyway. And I find the variations on this shape of, thinking about romance in fairy tales really interesting, often very like troubling, but very interesting. And that's part of why that's my favorite fairy tale.
So I want to read this follow-up because Rook Dagoo won. This was almost the question we asked.
Yeah.
Sarah, what's your favorite adaptation of Sleeping Beauty? And Brittany, what's your favorite adaptation of Beauty and the Beast? We almost asked this. I'm so happy you asked it.
I see what you did there.
Hey!
Okay.
One of yours.
I can't say a spindle splintered because we just talked about it. I feel like that's cheating.
You
although
could
it's like
and just be a
literally one of my
troll
favorite
about
books
it.
ever.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I'll behave. If I can't do that one, I will say Angela Carter's short story, The Lady of the House of Love, because it is Sleeping Beauty with vampires, and it's so gothic, and there are like tarot cards, and like it's really good. I really love it. It is so creepy and beautiful and haunting, and like all of the best Angela Carter ways. So that's one of my favorites.
Great
I really want to know what Brittany's going to say. I don't know what she's going to say.
Well, I was thinking of Angela Carter's The Tiger's Bride, but since you did Angela Carter, I will do something else. The second one that came to mind was Robin McKinley's novel Beauty. So that was probably the first fairy tale adaptation that was definitely like a novel version of a fairy tale, and retelling and expanding it all, and filling in those sort of narrative gaps that are so famous in fairy tales. And this was the first time I had ever seen that done. And I was, I don't even remember how old I was, maybe 11 or something. And to see that was so unbelievably cool and so obviously life-changing for me that I was just blown away. The book is really, really beautiful. It's very much the straightforward Beauty and the Beast story in a lot of ways. It doesn't do anything like especially new and different and innovative or subversive or anything, but it's just a really cool long version of Beauty and the Beast. And the development of the main character is really good, and it'll just always have a special place in my heart.
I approve.
Yeah.
I just want to say the two of you are like so good at like yes-anding. It's like you could have just answered that question with your first responses, but you had like first, second, and third. You had so many checkdowns. Yeah, you never stopped.
Yeah, you're like, I have somewhere at some point you must have made a list of these.
Yeah,
Probably somewhere.
Let's go.
We just talk about it all the time. Like we can just talk about fairy tales like all day, forever.
Okay, well, I have another funsy question, and this one's for Sarah.
Sure.
We heard you watch Contrapoints. What's your favorite video? We love Contrapoints.
We do.
We love.
Oh my god!
What's your favorite video?
So much for bringing up Contrapoints. Like,
thank you, Sleuths.
Thank you,
I am
Sleuths.
exploding into sparkles right now. You don't even know.
Yes.
If I have to pick one, I will say Envy, because it's a fucking masterpiece, and because there's a Snow White like interlude in the middle where she does the whole like magic mirror on the wall, and it's super gothic, and I love it. So, but I'm sorry, I have to do two. I also think all of her stuff is so brilliant, but her video essay on J.K. Rowling is
it's a good one. It's a good one
because it is the most brilliant breakdown of bigotry and how it works, and she articulates so clearly all of these things that are so hard to put your finger on. When you feel like someone says something and it feels off, like you can tell that they're not arguing in good faith, or that they're not answering the question, or they're doing something like with facts that isn't actually just stating a fact. The fact that she's able to break it down and explain why it's bigotry I am in awe. It is brilliant. It is brilliant and important work, and I love her.
I know that was a Sarah
that's the
question,
answer.
but I feel like we need to go around the horn and
we all have to
I
answer
know.
that.
yeah, and all
Yeah.
answer that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Sarah was like, I have something you've got to watch immediately.
I was
And
like,
I
we're
was
Hey!
doing
like,
this now.
Daisy and I have that moment.
I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I'm definitely gonna do it. And I didn't, because that's what usually happens. Next time I saw Sarah, she like sat me down physically and was like, "We're watching these. You'll love it." And
You
obviously
did. You loved
because
it.
they're so good. All of the episodes are so good. If I had to pick my favorite one, the one I keep going back to and watching over and over again is her video called Men, which I think is
that's a good one.
Really, really good. And again, I want to echo what Sarah says. She's really good at just breaking really complex ideas down in a way that is both informative and fascinating. Like it makes you want to know more. And I think that is a true gift. And I have so much fun watching those videos.
Daisy,
I want to know you guys.
Daisy,
you go because
I want to end on something the chat said.
I think I know which one yours is.
Oh, you know mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
Opulence.
No, that's not mine.
That's not your favorite?
No, you know what my favorite is. It's incels. It's
I like
it's
incels.
specific. It's specifically the line.
like
Talk to
that
a fascist
episode.
long enough, it eventually becomes skull shape. Yeah,
I really,
I like
that
paused it to laugh
That
at that
one-
line.
That one's like, I don't know. That's like in my top 2. I think her canceling video is really enlightening.
I
It's
thought that was
between
going to be
those
yours.
two.
I know that's
It's
yours. Yeah.
It's between those two for me. I don't know. I just didn't feel like anybody broke down like cancel culture in a way that related to philosophy before, like ideology. I thought it was really good.
Well, speaking of philosophy, Psycho Billy the Kid says if you like Contrapoints, you should try Philosophy Tube. I cannot recommend Philosophy Tube highly enough. She's my absolute favorite. Daisy, can I tell? I've told the story on stream like 3 different times. Can I tell the story again?
Yeah, I
Philosophy
love it
Tube.
a
The
lot.
video
Coming out
where
is,
she
like,
hires
amazing.
the actor
guy kinda
to
looks like
the
her,
guy who kind of looked like her, and then like she like comes out as trans by the end of the video. I cannot tell you how much that video meant to me. Specifically that story where she talks about meeting a kid at a show who's just like, I'm so happy that you're like a role model for like non-toxic masculinity, and she was like, I can't come out now because I'll be letting that one kid down. And I remember thinking like, wait, no, what's gonna happen? Because you're my role model. And then by the end of it, like, no, I'm my own fucking role model for this now. Like you've taken me, Abby, my fucking Moses, has taken me half of the way there, and I gotta go to the promised land now. Yeah, no, that video had a profound effect on like me as a guy. You know, that and so many of her fucking videos, but specifically if I had to make like a top 5 YouTube videos, it's that is in my top 5 all-time YouTube videos with like fucking like drinking out of cups and Leroy Jenkins. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god, I know. Yeah,
that one was great. I also really loved her one on, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it was on like domestic violence and abuse.
Oh, is that the astronaut or the cosmonaut?
The cosmonaut series.
She references the cosmonaut in it, but it's not that
it's
one.
Not that way. It's like
follows up on it.
Yeah, it's like a follow up. It's like the breakup one kind
of.
Like,
yeah,
so good.
That she was
the whole thing is in like one shot, except for like one moment. It like pans around.
Oh my god, yeah, just a 360 camera. Oh.
Yeah. Oh man, that was just like
shattering.
I mean,
that's a good one.
Like a masterpiece.
She fucking
rules.
Really
good.
She fucking rules.
Yeah. And another one that's just really, really good is her one on social constructs, which is completely different.
That's
it's
a
like
good one. Is that the one where she's a mechanic?
Yes, she's a mechanic, and it's all shot in a garage. But like again, she breaks down something so complicated, like social constructs. How do you explain to somebody what a social construct is, super concisely? And I'm just like blown away. It's so good.
I watched that video in a hotel room in Savannah, Georgia, while I was moving to Florida. I'll always remember where I was. Yeah.
Contrapoints and Philosophy Tube are both just so good at not only the way that they structure the narrative, but using the power of the visual medium, like the video essay to really like bring their points to light. And I don't know, they do it some of the best, honestly.
Yeah.
Wish
the
Contra would post
and
more.
the aesthetics. I mean, it's just brilliantly and beautifully constructed.
I wish Contra would post more. I wish she would get off Twitter because she doesn't need to be there. But
same for both. Also, like this is just turned into like a Contrapoints philosophy to stand chat.
I'm here.
And
oh my god!
I would fucking DM me later if you want all my favorite video essayists. This is a Brittany question we have next.
Yes.
Now this is Sarah's first official collaboration with Folkwise, but it's not Brittany's, and that is why I'm wearing the Book of Boba Fett Adidas tracksuit, because if you look in the credits of the May the 4th video, Brittany is listed as Carrie Fisher because she was the script doctor on that video. Now, Brittany, we've done this with a past guest, and I'm not going to make you rank the EU books, but I do want to know your favorite Star Wars EU book.
Hard question. Okay. I have two answers for this.
Go for it. Yes.
The ones that I think are the best are the Timothy Zahn ones.
Oh, you can't say all three Timothy Zahn ones. You got to pick one.
I gotta pick one.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
I see through your tricks.
Okay, so if I had to pick one of them, I think I want to say the first one. It's like the title is escape. I think it's the
Heir to the Empire.
Is that Heir to the Empire? I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
but then
Heir to the Empire.
I think that then it was the Dark Rising or something like that, right? And yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with the Heir to the Empire as my favorite one of the expanded universe, just because I feel like those first three that he came out with were so much better than they should have been.
Yes,
in some way.
It's the reason we're all here, right? Like in Star Wars fandom, the Timothy Zahn overshot in the early 90s, and it never died.
Yeah, and it just never died. And I feel like that's really important. I also want to give a shout out to the I think the title is The Marriage of Princess Leia.
The Courtship of Princess Leia.
The Courtship of Princess Leia.
Oh my god. What I was listening to an X-Men podcast and they were talking about like someone's arranged marriage and both of the hosts went, Courtship of Princess Leia! It's Courtship of Princess Leia! Yeah.
I think I'm saying that one because that was the first time I remember that a book made me so like frustrated.
Yeah.
And had a very profound effect on me. I was like, no, she has to be with Han Solo. This is ridiculous. What is even happening in this book? And so I thought that, in that one, I don't feel like the characterizations of the main characters are as good as in some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But and the person who wrote it, I think she only wrote like one, or he wrote one. But I have a very strong memory of that being like the first book that I was just like, this is awful. How could this possibly happen?
Cannot be.
It cannot be. I know, exactly. So the other ones I say, I really liked the standalone Han Solo series, and I really liked
like the young Han ones.
Yeah, young Han ones. And I really liked the Young Jedi Academy ones with that were focused on the twins of Han Solo and Princess Leia, Jaqen and Jaina, Jaqen and Jaina, or Yana, or whatever you say it. And all the people, that they hung out with. I had a very fun time reading those, and they were fun too because they were closer to my age at the time, and so I was like, it was really easy for me to step into those characters' roles, and I loved. I'm not sure how I've always said Jaina in my head, but somebody told me it was Yana or Yana or something like that. I'm not sure.
Unbelievable.
But the girl twin of Han Solo and Princess Leia is like very pretty, like Princess Leia, but like very sarcastic and like good at fixing mechanical stuff. And I just thought she was so cool. I wanted to be like her. I had like a brown coat and would wear my hair in braids and stuff. And I was like, she's fantastic. And then I wrote a bunch of fan fiction, and that is all I will say about that.
I'm looking up
right and proper.
when Kenny Linden was on the show last year, and he like ranked the Star Wars books, and so he had the Thrawn trilogy as number 1, and then he had the Tales of series as his second favorite, like Tales of the Bounty Hunter, Tales of Mos Eisley, all like the short story collections. Yeah.
I remember those. I don't remember a lot about those, though, I have to say. I remember that they were out, but...
Popping off about your...
Yeah, chat wants to know more about Jaina fanfic. Honestly, we've opened a can of worms with the Jaina fanfic.
I've loved doing websites since I was very small, and my first website ever was totally dedicated to Star Wars, and was all about all my favorite stuff, and had a lot of fan fiction on it and links to fan fiction.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Really
I would like rank my favorites and all kinds of stuff.
With that answer, Daisy, I feel like you need to ask this last fun question.
Yes, we have a final fun question for you, and then we'll get ready to do a game together, which will be really fun.
Yay.
Between the two of you, this question's for both of you. Between the two of you, how many unfinished novels are there?
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Oh yes, sleuths.
No. Oh,
This is so
many.
sad. This is so sad. So Sarah and I together have about 1, 2.
Watching you count.
Yeah, same.
Sarah and I
God, she's still
together
going.
have 5.
Okay.
I think. So 5 books. They're not all novels. So we have like a sort of pop culture-y, witchy one that we've been working on. We have a collection of co-written poetry all about fairy tale sisters.
That one's almost done, though.
Yeah, that one we're actually making very good progress.
Still counts for tonight.
But it counts as not finished yet.
Still not finished.
But
progress.
We've been talking forever about doing an anthology of witch poetry that has come out recently.
Okay.
And then the 2 novels that we have. So we have one where we're really excited that involves the Bronte sisters and fairy lore.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And then we have another one that is a magical school-like story. How would you describe this one?
It's so early. I have like a document that just has lots of notes in it, but let's just say it's a take on a magic school story that has its own unique magic system that is based in language. But we haven't seen it done anywhere else, but we really, really, really want to see if we can flesh it out.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool if we ever get
really
the time
cool
to sit down and write the damn thing. And then, of course, we each have our own like pile of unfinished novels, in drawers.
Then there are the other ones. Yeah. Oh gosh.
I don't have any that I've
been
started. I don't have any I've started though, like during or after grad school. Like I was, messing around with things when I was, like a teenager, early 20s, and then I went to grad school and I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm just going to write short stories and poetry.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I did actually start a new novel in grad school that I was also, interestingly, involved a lot of fairy lore and
shock,
like reincarnation and grad school itself, and it was all like very, it was very. There were like all these like very insidery winks at folklore throughout it, and I was like, I looked at it the other day and I was like, I don't really think a lot of people are going to understand what I'm doing here, but it was really fun at the time.
Everyone in chat will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody here would know.
Yeah.
Everybody at Carterhaugh would know, but, other people probably wouldn't.
Yeah. But the Sisterhood poetry book is first because we realized, wow, if we're like pinging back and forth between like 6 books. Probably none of them will get written. So we've been working on that one, and that will get done first, and then we'll switch to something else.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yes. That's the plan anyway.
It's happening.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Sarah's
like, do it now. Yeah.
It's your turn, Brittany.
I know it's my turn.
Well, we have reached the end of the formal piece of the interview that we have for you, other than our fun game. So while Dom switches that over, I have
Doing that right
chat
now.
question for you that I think will be cool, and then I'll explain what the game is.
Oh no, Daisy, actually this time I can't do it until after. No, I can do it now.
Or whatever. Okay.
Go for it.
So Bad It Hurts asks in the chat, my niece is always looking for new fairy tales or mythology stories, so I'm fishing for suggestions. What are your favorite fairy tales that don't come from Western or European traditions?
One moment, please.
Oh.
Oh, do I have it here still, or is it another pile?
Is there a prop this time?
Oh, nope, it's right here. I have another book. I just have piles of books everywhere. This would be my first suggestion.
For your niece,
This
yeah,
is-
me too.
We just used this in a course earlier this year. It's called Fearless Girls, Wise Women, and Beloved Sisters, Heroines and Folktales from Around the World.
Whoa, hold
And
it. Actually,
it's
hold it up
really,
to the
really
camera
cool.
again. Hold it up to the camera again.
Who's it by?
All right. Does that work
It
for
is-
you, chat? Does that work for you? Oh, that's good.
It is
I typed it out.
edited by Kathleen Reagan. And I will say that, it was compiled at this point, like maybe 20 years ago or something.
Mhm.
And of course, it's compiled of stories that are
Pretty
even older than that. And it's a really cool collection, but there are like some choices of words and stuff that are very outdated at this point. So just warning for that. But it's an incredible collection. I don't know of any other ones like it that is this international. It really is actually stories from all over the world and not
And
just like Europe.
And a lot of the stories she got from archives and
Mhm.
like very old
Hell
collection.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
she
it's
gives,
great.
she gives at least a little bit of context for the story, which is pretty rare in a book of, just folk tales from around the world or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. When we used the book in one of our courses, we looked up all the sources that she had and then got some additional information on those sources so we could talk a little bit about translation practices and the fact that these were a lot of old white guys going to different countries and trying to make their stories sound more like Western fairy tales.
Mhm.
A really good example of that, just a story that I really like, that's not Western, is The Boy Who Drew Cats. So this is a fairy tale from Japan, and it was collected by Lafcadio Hearn, who also did a bunch of like ghost legend stuff. If you look up his name, he's the author of a bunch of different books on that.
His collections are incredible in general. Like we really love his work.
Yeah, he did a really, really great job. There were some sort of weird things about it because what he was basically doing, he married a Japanese woman and he basically was like, you have to tell me all the stories. And she was like, okay. And
Sure.
and then when she ran out of stories, he was like, go talk to other people and find me more stories and I will translate them.
Go
And
read this book and then tell it to me orally.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I want you to tell it to me orally, but you can read books to find the stories. And so it was very, very weird. But one of the stories in his, what is called usually translated as Japanese fairy tales, is a story called The Boy Who Drew Cats. And it's really interesting because the end of the story has a very conventional Western kind of ending. And that's not the ending that's typically in the Japanese versions of the story.
Mhm.
It's much more of a, this boy went on to become a great artist and followed his dreams and did exactly what he wanted to do because individual freedom and stuff like that. And the story actually ends with the boy like becoming a monk like he's supposed to and doing dedicating his life to more spiritual things, which it was a really different, it was really interesting that it got changed and really different to think about what was valued in different cultures.
Since we're talking about individual stories, so the one that Brittany just talked about isn't in this collection, but it's in like almost all of Lafcadio Hearn's collections. and it's online. It's very easy to find. But I think my favorite story from this entire collection is called The Vampire Skeleton, and it's an Iroquois story, and it is so
Love it
flipping
already.
awesome because it's basically like an exploration of toxic masculinity in which like the wife ultimately triumphs and gets everything that she deserves for like being a good person. And also there's a vampire skeleton. Like what more do you want?
Yeah.
from
Hell
a
yeah.
fairy
Precisely.
tale? Like
What
that's what
can
I
you
want
ask
from a
for?
fairy tale.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for those recommendations. We dropped links to some of them in the chat, and some of the chatters were dropping links to
Yeah,
everything.
and also
Awesome.
So Bad It Hurts followed
Yeah.
up that his niece is 8, but also she read things that he had never read until undergrad, so she'll probably like
Yeah,
it.
this book should, I think, actually
She
be
should be able
totally
to read
fine
this.
for an
Hell yeah,
8-year-old.
hell yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't think there's anything in it that I recall that was, anything that should be forewarned about. So
Yeah, I mean,
Hell
there's
yeah.
like violent stuff in it, but also like Bluebeard is a
That's cool,
standard
yeah.
like Western fairy tale, so nothing worse than Bluebeard.
Talk about the story where the old lady Yeti kills her husband's soul? What?
Oh no, yeets! It's supposed to be
Yeets.
yeets her husband's soul. Yeah,
She
Oh!
yeets the soul.
Fucking autocorrect.
She yeets his soul.
Yeets.
Okay,
Yeah.
she yeets his
So-
soul. Like,
yeah. So
Tell
this
us about the
story-
soul that hath been Jotun.
This
That is how
story,
you conjugate it, yes.
yes,
Mhm.
that's how you conjugate yeets. So this story is. Do you remember where it's from, Sarah? Can't remember where it's from.
I
Or
will
North,
look.
I believe.
You
Okay, yeah,
you
have both.
summarize and I will
Okay,
look.
so what happens in this story is that there's a woman who has a husband that she knows is not like the greatest guy in the world, but she still wants him to go to heaven. So when he dies,
It's from Iceland.
it's from Iceland. I knew it was someplace north.
No.
So when he dies, she goes up to heaven with him. She catches his soul in a bag, and so it doesn't go down to hell. So now she's got his soul in a bag, and she goes to the gates of heaven. And she says, so the Holy Spirit comes out, and he's like, "No, you can't come in." Saint Peter comes out, and he's like, "No, I can't do this." And basically, to all of them, she's like, "So weren't you like, a human who made mistakes? And isn't that like, pretty?
Like, didn't
pretty
you like
sketchy?"
deny Jesus or something?
Yeah,
Like,
didn't you,
throwing
like,
it like right back at them.
Yeah, throwing it right back at them and being like, "If you got in, that my husband should totally get in." Eventually, she eventually attracts the attention of Jesus himself. He comes to the gates, and she's like, "Oh, I really don't have anything to say to this guy." So she just yeets the bag into heaven behind
Like
Jesus.
past his head.
Yes, past his head.
Like that wouldn't be
And then she's
offsides
like,
in soccer, so
I
I'll
did it.
allow it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she's like,
It would
"Yep,
be
all
very
right, done."
offsides in soccer. Yep.
Oh, well,
And she's
Jesus
very
is on your
sweet, so she
team.
just walks
Jesus
back
is on
home.
your team. That's not offsides. Yeah.
Yeah, she puts the bag over his mouth, so it's his last breath and soul is caught, which led
Yeah.
several. In our discussion, we were talking about like, did she murder him? Like, what is actually happening? But she's very intent on getting his soul into heaven, however she can.
Jesus is like, I never planned for somebody to break the rules in this fashion, so
In
I
this
guess
fashion, I know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's in there and he's not
That's
coming out, so
fine.
she's like,
It really Jesus really said there's no rule that a dog can't play basketball.
yeah, honestly, there's no rule. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
yeah, it's a great story. It really is. It's one of our favorite. Was one of our
Yeah.
favorites in the book.
I mean, there are just so many good ones in that book. It's really, really cool.
All right, Carterhaugh twins. I have probably the easiest question of the night because it's a yes or no question.
I
Have
never
you
thought of
ever
it like
made
that.
Have you ever made a tier list?
A tier list?
Well, if you haven't watch stream yet,
Wonderful.
the two of you are making a tier list. Get ready. Daisy, you want to do that? You're so good at the
Okay.
spiel these days. You want to do the spiel?
Sure. Yeah, a tier list is something that on Twitch comes from fighting games. It's a way for people to rank characters of their favorite games on a scale usually from S to D. S being superior, super, wonderful, fantastic, the best, above
Above
A,
100. Yeah.
and D being the worst, like trash it, dumpster, terrible. I don't know if that's what it stands for. I'm just saying it does. But
Okay.
lately on Twitch, it has become like a fun kind of folk game and a way for people to rank things of everyday life, which is kind of what we do with folklore. It's fun. It's everyday life. We're having fun with it. So we have designed a tier list for both of you to collaboratively create.
Yes, indeed. And I
Oh
will
my
say the
God.
last time we had two hosts or two guests at the same time, we made them each do a short tier list, but not
Yes.
for Brittany
Not
and
this
Sarah.
time.
You have to agree on where everyone is going in this tier list. And in
And
the spirit of the
Okay.
Crone Quest, we have
this is-
the witchy women of pop music, a tier list that the sleuths created for you. You have to agree on where they go on a scale from S to D. Are you ready to get started?
Oh my god. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right, first off, with her machine, it's Florence.
She goes at the top.
She's
she goes
S?
at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
S?
Instantly,
Oh my gosh,
Florence
okay.
S. Florence S.
Damn.
Instantly. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. All
I
right.
feel like, although I want to check with Brittany. Like, are we good? Is that
Yeah.
are we
Oh
comfortable?
my god, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my god,
thought
yes,
so.
please.
I didn't think that there would be any disagreement, but in the spirit of collaboration, I
Yes.
wanted
Fair
to
enough.
not be
Look at-
unilateral
Hell yeah.
about this.
Look at that reflection and
It's
demonstration
perfect. It's
right
perfect.
there. Wow.
The next one takes me all the way back to second grade, and that's Lorena McKinnon.
Oh, Lorena. I love
Lorena.
Lorena.
I
I mean, like under Florence, I guess. But
Strong
like,
A.
still good. Still
but
good.
like she's like an S, but she is under Florence. I guess A.
Yeah.
You could do S under Florence.
Yes, you can. They stack vertically as well as horizontally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Florence would be S1 and Lorena
Okay.
would be S2.
Like I love her. I don't love her as much as
Yeah.
Florence.
So I think
Okay,
A.
A.
Yeah.
Sounds like A. Sounds like she's top A so far. All right. Next up,
Yeah.
and I have the sticker on the back of my computer. I'd rather be listening to "Running Up That Hill" (parentheses) a deal with God. We've got Kate Bush.
Sarah loves Kate Bush's dance.
I do.
I do too.
The whole
Heights is amazing.
Wuthering Heights dance is like the best thing that ever happened. It like saved me when I was writing my dissertation. I had a whole
Hell yeah.
chapter on Wuthering
Sarah
Heights.
wants to go to the annual like convention that they do, where they all
Yeah.
all these women get together
Yeah.
and like do the Kate Bush and Wuthering Heights dance.
Mhm. I can do the whole dance like from memory. I will not be doing it.
All
here.
right,
Like,
all right,
no.
all right.
Head that
Stand
off.
up. Let's go.
No.
I don't know the words
I
actually.
have had one drink and that's not
Not enough.
happening.
Well, I
All right,
think
catch
we
up,
need to have-
catch up.
We'll have a dance party at AFS.
Oh,
That
the
sounds
one,
good. I
no,
can
no.
do
We
that.
it has been teased when our generation runs the Croning. There's going to be a Kate Bush theme.
You know it.
Jen Siegel has
Absolutely.
said that in her episode.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
cool
Yes.
with that.
But what,
Okay, where do we put Kate, Brittany?
Okay, so I loved Kate. I don't love all of her music though.
Fair.
More than I love her as a musician.
How dare you say that
I
about
would
Dreamtime?
Personally, put her on like next to Lorena, but
Mhm.
if you feel that it needs to go under Lorena, I will
Yeah,
understand. I won't
would
be
put her-
mad.
I put her probably in B for
In
me.
B. Okay.
Okay.
You can agree to
Okay.
B?
Yes, I will defer.
Next up.
They can also be redistributed upon learning of the other witches.
Yeah, by the end
Yeah,
you can
okay.
redistribute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next up we have Amy Lee.
Oh,
Okay,
Okay.
so I loved Evanescence when they came
Yeah.
out. I was such
Based on
a-
all of your answers, that's the least surprising thing you've said all night.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
right?
honestly.
Evanescence is like still my go-to for karaoke. Like the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me at karaoke involved Evanescence.
No, Wake Me Up Inside is an S tier karaoke song.
It's
Yeah.
a really good one.
Consider
is.
that tier list
It's
one
an
day,
S tier
Daisy.
karaoke
I
song.
know.
However, Amy Lee, the person, I've heard some pretty not great things about.
Oh, I don't actually know
Interesting.
anything about her as a person. All I know is Evanescence, really.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, are we considering them as people?
It's
or are we
your
just
tier
considering
list. It's your tier
as
list.
witchy artists?
Since I don't know anything about her as a person, I feel comfortable rating it solely as Evanescence at this
Okay.
moment. We can edit, in the future if we need to.
Okay.
I would put
Then
her next to Lorena, personally.
Yeah, I think I would too.
You're putting her second in A tier.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Here for now.
And next up is Susie Sue.
Again, I like her vibe, but I don't like the music that much. I'd probably put
Yeah. I think I'd have to agree.
Where are you putting her?
her. I mean, I could put her in C or D.
I'm fine with either. I don't have strong feels.
Wow.
All right, let's
It
put her-
would be
let's put her
a
in-
high for me.
Let's put her in C for now, and we'll
Got
see
it.
who else.
Got it.
Yes.
Next up, my cousins in Italy always insist we're related to her
Oh
somehow.
my god.
Lady Gaga.
Oh my god. That's hysterical.
Oh, yeah. Is A the second highest?
Yeah.
That's where I'd put her.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now, where are you putting her in
Now-
relation to Amy and Lorena?
Above
Next
between-
to.
Above or
Maybe
between?
maybe above, honestly.
Above? She's top of A? Top of A?
I don't think she's top A for me. Lorena's top A for me, but she's before Amy Lee.
Right in the middle.
I would reverse it. So let's just put them all on the same level.
All the same level,
No,
and we're
but
going.
they're in order. They're in an order within the level.
Yeah, within the
Oh,
level, there's an
yeah.
order. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Brittany's got it.
Okay.
Chat seems to want you to put Susie Sue in D only because they love strong opinions and they love seeing D tier full.
I feel like we have a really hard time trashing anything. Like
I know.
Yeah.
It's
No.
against our nature.
What I'm telling you
Never
is,
gave-
chat wants you to trash something.
All right, well, we might still get there. Let's hear the other
We
one.
might,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
might
let's
get
see.
there.
All right.
Maybe we'll actually feel that way about something.
Yeah.
Up next, scene stealer from the Northman, Bjork.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
This
I like her
This
vibe.
is really hard.
I know. Like, I like her vibe a lot, but I don't actually listen to a lot of the music, so I don't have much of an opinion.
Mm.
I went
I
through
guess-
a period in high school where I listened to a lot of Bjork.
Awesome.
And I still like that pagan poetry song is one of my favorites. Still,
That is good, yeah.
You could lean into like how much of a witch vibe do they give off versus like
That
rating
would be
their
a
music.
completely different list.
that would be
Oh.
a very different list, I think.
Okay. Well, we're doing One Direction, so I guess stick with that.
Yeah.
All right. I would probably put her in B or C.
Yeah, I'd say B, maybe.
Bottom of B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Bottom of B.
Speaking of S tier karaoke bangers, the next up is Bonnie Tyler.
Oh, man.
I don't know if witchiness is coming in, then I feel like she's less on the witchiness scale.
Yeah.
Despite,
I mean, Total Eclipse of the Heart is like our
Yeah.
favorite thing that ever happened. Like, we
Me
actually
too.
do that at karaoke all the time.
Good taste.
I 100%. But like,
Yeah.
But like, do I mean, I can't even really like.
Chat, you
Think
know
of
what
a
to
lot
do.
of
You know what to do,
music
chat.
to me,
You
though.
know what to do, chat.
Yeah, I think she's more towards the bottom for me.
Yeah.
Is this our certified straight to D moment?
It might be.
It's like, it's so hard to say. Like, if we're talking about like witchy quotient, then I suppose so. But like, it's like one of our favorite songs ever. It's very
It is.
difficult.
That's very difficult.
One time we were in a thrift store on the opposite sides of the thrift store, and that song came on, and we literally like ran to each other and met in the middle singing.
That's
It was a really big thrift store too. It was like a warehouse. We were like drinking through like the fluorescent aisles, like towards one another. I'm sure everyone in there was like, "Oh, there's something wrong with these women." I mean, okay, if they want us to be opinionated, I just don't think she's that witchy.
There
so
you go.
I guess we can
Straight
put
to
her at
D
the bottom.
moment. Straight to D
Okay, there's your
moment.
moment. I hope you guys are
There you go.
happy.
Last.
Has a definite vampire vibe, but it's just
Ooh,
not as witchy
fascinating.
as like,
Not
Fascinating.
witch.
Yeah.
Vampire is not witch.
yeah.
So these next three are Murderer's Row though, and we've got and by the way, looking up this last one has put me and the sleuths on just like a loop of listening to the 1997 CD compilation Pure Moods. We've got Enya. Where does Enya go?
Oh, Oh, and yeah.
And
Okay.
who can say where the road goes?
Yeah.
I promise I would say this on stream with the sleuths, but my teacher taught the gifted class in junior high, Lynn. Yes, she made us call her first name. Always used to put on Enya when we had a reading assignment, and it always or like a reading response, and it always was Orinoco Flow Twice until Only Time came on, and it was Only Time once, and that unlocked a new level of Lynn.
What?
Anyway.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So
Pure
this,
Mood
I have
CD
so many.
is so funny.
Oh my
I feel
God,
Like
Pure-
I remember that commercial so
Yes,
well.
I know the whole
I can
commercial.
hear it. I'm hearing the whole commercial in my head.
Yeah, Pure that. We've got Bada Bada Buddha, Bada Bada Buddha, Pure Moods and the trance remix of the X-Files theme. Pure Moods is absolutely S tier. But Devotion.
Okay. I feel
Return
a little
to Innocence.
complicated about trying to answer for Enya though, because I feel like she is a fairy rather than a witch.
Ooh.
I think I agree
No.
with that. I don't think she can have like a little bit of a witchy vibe, but
Do we need to create an
nearly.
F tier
Not
for
that
fairy?
witchy.
An F tier
Yeah.
for fairy?
F tier
I mean,
for fairy.
She would be at the top for me for a fairy chart. She's just not that witchy.
F
I love
parenthetical
her.
fairy. F
Yeah.
parenthetical.
Are we for
airy.
real making an F tier? Are we doing an F tier?
No, we're
Right.
making a fairy tier.
Fairy tier.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I can do that. I can go.
Yes. F parenthetical airy.
Yeah. F
Airy
tier.
tier.
No.
Oh, let's
Cool with that.
we're
love
making
it.
her
I
pink.
do
We're
that,
making
and
her
I
pink.
feel
I feel like we
much.
should have, if we do that, I feel like we should have a V Empire tier
Yeah.
too for Bonnie Tyler.
You're not wrong.
Let's say vampire with it's a Greek word and it starts with a silent D.
I can work with that.
Okay. Well, okay. Consider Susie Sue might end up on vampire tier. Consider that.
Consider that.
I can do that. That works
I
for
can
me.
do
Is-
Susie. Yeah, I can
Top
do
of
Susie
vampire
that.
tier or bottom of vampire tier?
I think she's top of.
I think she's top of
Yeah.
vampire tier.
Yeah.
God, this is
Yeah.
the most complicated tier list we've ever done.
Oh,
I'm not
James has
sorry.
a good.
The
James in the
the-
chat has a good damp here. Like,
Yeah, you could go damp here.
No, we can't go damp hair because this is a Euron Greyjoy stream only and will not entertain any reference to Aeron Greyjoy. Okay? I am the storm, brother, the first and the last. Anyway,
first and the
next
last.
up, the real heavy hitter of this tier list, in my opinion, Stevie Nicks.
this is the heavy hitter.
This is
Yeah.
the heavy hitter. It's all led to this.
Okay.
You knew it was
You
coming.
knew she was going to be on there.
Did. I mean, should we put her in the S like with Florence, under Florence?
You
What
must do
think?
what you think is
Yeah.
right.
I think. Okay, so for me personally, she is the quintessential witchy pop star.
Yeah.
And if you dress in a like witchy way, as Sarah and I are wont to do, people
Me?
will
Surely
say-
not. No.
people will say you look like you're dressing like Stevie Nicks, you know?
Yeah.
So like I feel like that counts for a lot. So
Okay.
personally, I would put her right after Florence.
Okay. Let's do it.
like Florence has perfected an aesthetic that Stevie invented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Florence is
For
like
us,
our queen and savior. So,
Yes.
you know, that's just,
Florence-
Hey,
Weird,
just
like-
like the White Wing Dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing.
Yes.
yeah.
And the last one, we have the Carterhaugh School of Pop Music. We couldn't leave them off. Heart.
Duo.
You got to do both members of Heart, both sisters in Heart, but where does Heart go?
And this is a hard one because they're less witchy,
Mhm.
but their songs are awesome.
Rad.
Yeah. Thinking very seriously.
I might put them in C.
That
Yeah.
that kind of evens it out there.
Yeah.
I think that's right. That
It's
seems
a
right.
it's a pretty good award for most complicated tier list. Remember this for the next Wisey Awards, people, because this was a doozy. This was a doozy, is all I'm gonna say.
So good.
All right. Now we gotta look again and make sure we
Gotta look again.
Make sure you double
Okay,
check
so-
everyone.
Fairy and Dampier, I'm very comfortable with.
Yes. That is good and right and proper.
Sorry, Enya, but also not sorry, Enya. You get your own tier.
Yeah.
She deserves her own tier.
Yeah.
You know, for her own castle that she lives in with her cat.
On the shores of Tripoli.
Yes.
Okay. I'm having complicated feelings about the A tier.
Yeah.
Go off.
How so?
Yeah.
Go off.
So, like, Lady Gaga is amazing, but before we got to her, we weren't really doing the most witchy stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's as
It
witchy
morphs.
as some of the other
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
I agree. She's less witchy. I love her profoundly, but yeah, she's just not as witchy.
I know what
Okay.
chat wants you to do before they even say it. Chat wants you to move her to C to make sure it all so you get a mirror image.
Oh, so it's all.
Oh, not quite actually.
I think
That would be if you moved her to F, it would be a mirror image. But chat loves a normal distribution.
I'm actually thinking of switching Lady Gaga and Kate Bush.
Okay.
Ooh, this is fascinating.
yes.
For the low price of $19.99. Oh my God, chat, stop.
So yeah, yes, I like that better. I think.
Do it.
Yeah, Rolling Hills.
Yep.
That's what we're calling this distribution. Rolling Hills. Perhaps
Hills.
it's like the Moors from Wuthering Heights. But here, okay, now we got to sum this up. Daisy. Okay, here we have it. The official Brittany and Sara Witchy Women of Pop Music tier list.
It's tier list cubed.
Yeah, the 3-dimensional tier list. Everyone was playing
3-dimensional
checkers, and this
tier
tier list is playing chess.
Yes.
On a scale from Florence to Enya,
How harmful is your pop icon witch? How much magic damage can she do?
yeah, we've really got this list also doubles as going from tank to glass cannon.
Yes.
All right. So,
so-
how much damage?
So good.
So we've got like
That's kind of our. This is the. We could summarize it perhaps in another way too, but that's all I got.
we always try to wrap them up in some way, but this one defies all explanations. There are 3 tiers on the tier list.
I'm borderline not allowed to summarize it anymore.
Yeah, Daisy messed up one time, and yeah, they are banned from summarizing. So with the technical difficulties and everything, we kept you way longer than we ever wanted to. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're still there. We also promised someone from the team they could jump online and make fun of you nerds while we played Witcher. But before we cut back to Witcher for like 10 minutes of that or whatever, where can people find you? Also, chat, you know what to do. Drop those ladders.
Drop ladders. Thanks.
Yay, letters. You can find us at carterhaughschool.com.
Yes, and you should definitely sign up for our email list. We send like book recommendations and geek out over all kinds of different things all the time on there, and we would love to have you come hang out with us.
Yeah,
and to
it's
get
really
on that,
fun.
just like go to our website. There are a bunch of different ways to sign up.
Yep. A bunch of different ways. And also, yes, we are going to do a talk. Somebody just linked it. We're going to do a talk for the Smithsonian Associates later this month on
Hell yeah.
commanders.
Yeah.
Also, Rebecca in chat says it should be on a scale from machine to she.
Yes.
I like it.
I like the word resonance there.
Me too.
Beautiful.
Me too. I love that.
Very beautiful.
Poetry.
That's it.
Well done, Karina.
If you don't have ladders, hit them with a hearty GG. But it looks like so many of you have ladders now.
Yeah.
We're not going to be. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun, and
this was awesome. We're so glad we got to come hang out with you guys. This has been great.
exactly.
Yeah, this has been really fun. Thank you
This
so
has been
much.
super fun. I have thoroughly enjoyed this.